Thank you, Sam, for having me here. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Now, before we get into these reforms and speaking about the implementation and whether or not we can pull it off, what has been, and I'm curiously asking, this is even out of personal curiosity, what has been the state of technical colleges? I know we used to have federal technical colleges, which is FTC. Later, it became FSTC, right? Now, I think they say to go back to FTC. What have been the state of technical colleges across the country?
Sam, for countries that are actually business-like and are industry-minded, we can actually not neglect that aspect of technical education. The philosophy behind technical education is to produce, middle manpower, capacity for students who can actually fit into the industrial development of the country. That's the idea. And it's been on. For those who actually, those days, as early as 1960s or thereabout, when technical schools were technical schools, like where I grew up in the old Bende state, technical schools were revered, and they were seen as sophisticated and a training ground for a lot of children. Okay, but that has actually been overtaken by today. Today, everybody wants to go to school, want to do white-collar job, you want to sit down in the office, you want to hold your biro and paper. When you have done that, inside an AC, by the end of 21 working days, your pay package is delivered to you.
Yeah.
And that, to a very large extent, has affected the zeal and the drive for technical education. So I give kudos to federal government for reviving technical schools, especially these federal science and technical colleges that came in some 10 years ago. That's a very big kudos to federal government.
Okay, so now to the will to pull off what they are proposing. Introduction of these trades for technical education, students must offer at least one. Do we have what it takes ahead of the 2025-2026 session to kick off?
Let me give you a background to the discussion. Sam, if you observe very clearly, you will notice that over 90% of the technical schools that we have in the country are owned by government.
Yeah.
Individuals, no matter how enterprising you are, and you cannot set up a private school and name it a technical college because you'll be running at a loss. That's number one. So the mere fact that it's a federal government establishment, what it means is that government has the budget to drive the process. What we may not be able to tell is at what particular point in time, at what time will the government take up the initiative, to pursue technical education. For this 2025-2026 academic session, which actually began on the 9th of September, we are still at a loss. The whole educational institution, both primary and secondary school, are at a loss. It will interest you that this particular state now where we are actually issued a directive not too long ago, I think about 2 days ago, enjoining school to continue with what they are doing until they have the white paper. So it is a function of how soon the white paper is released. Much of what we have now, as far as the change of the curriculum is concerned, are just speculative. So until the white paper is released, it goes through the Ministry of Education. It is operationalized and then sent to schools to adopt and practice. We are still operating the old curriculum. That's the reality on ground.
Yeah, but some preparation. Let me look for any of these courses, for example. Woodwork, carpentry, and joinery. I may not particularly know budget-wise what it would take to set up a department that would teach kids this. But if we are at the mercy of whenever the white paper comes in, is that when the schools will now, based on a budget, of course, start setting up these departments so that it's equipped to whatever standard we need them to be so we can teach the kids?
I'm happy you raised this part of the discussion. The reason why I said I'm happy is that truly speaking, some of these trade subjects that are listed were once in our scheme, okay, were actually done in technical colleges in the past. But the truth of the matter is that they were not given the needed attention that they require. For instance, I know that some of my friends who wrote exams like this trade test of yesteryears actually had element of that. As soon as that thing was mentioned by government, those of us who are into the educational sector, we went online, we started looking at it. We even saw the curriculum of yesteryears. Perhaps what we don't know is the new inclusion that they may have added into it. I know that in those days, technical colleges were involved with welding and fabrication. You can't take it from them. Some of them were doing electrical repairs and others, so they were part of it. But the truth of the matter is that they were not as polished as what we are having as of today. So much as we wait for them to come, government will not jump the gun. It is only when, like they told us that this curriculum has actually been, they've been working on it for over 3 years now. And in these 3 years, the budget of the schools have not changed. So let's see how it will happen. The implication is that, there's this saying that perspiration in preparation is the inspiration in presentation. So whenever they bring it, that is when the schools will start implementing it. But there's no school I can beat. We who are into the educational sector, we're supposed to be implemented. Schools should have been given but no, it just suddenly happened as schools were resuming now. That was when they said, okay, that thing we said some 3 months ago, we want to implement it. And now, most schools have actually schools were resuming now. That was when they said, okay, that thing we said some 3 months ago, we want to implement it. And now, most schools have actually prepared when it is now included, the exam 27 election. So I feel because somebody may just be playing with their mind, not knowing that the actual things are not done as far as the new curriculum implementation is concerned.
All right, we take a break now. After that, we talk about the examinations. I don't know if NAPTEP, if that body and the exam still exist.
It's an exam body.
Yes, for the technical schools.
Yes, technical schools, yes.
All right, so after the break, we talk. Stay with us.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Still Hard Facts, 92.3 Nigeria Info. The federal government unveiled a major reform of the nation's technical education curriculum, introducing 26 new trade areas that will take effect from the 2025-2026 academic session. Dr. Isaac Uwadiunor is still on the phone. Thanks for staying with us, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Sam.
All right. You go ahead.
Hello?
Yes.
I wanted to draw your attention to something very, very important.
Okay.
As far as the 2025 academic section is concerned.
Okay.
We are doing 39 weeks, max 40 weeks for the whole academic section.
Okay.
My concern is about those who are writing the exam, especially those in the terminal classes.
Yeah.
How the curriculum is going to affect them. That's the first part of the concern.
Mm.
Then the second side of the concern is that if a child has been taught on a particular curriculum, that's the outbound curriculum for 2 years, and then you are coming back now in just one academic section of 39 weeks, you are coming to effect a new curriculum. I think the policymakers should have also taken into consideration that we are dealing with human beings and we are not dealing with robots. That's the major concern.
Mm.
Because by the end of the day, what justifies the means in Nigeria is, did the child pass examination? He said no. And then we'll not begin to shout on the examination body. These things are not taken into consideration. I like us to look at it. And then there are also other implications. But let me allow you to ask your question. I needed to draw your attention to this.
Yeah.
I've established in this discussion that government has actually thrown confusion into, the academic calendar of schools and into the academic programs of students. That's number one. Then number two is that I'm telling you, as stakeholders who are supposed to manage it, the budget for the implementations are not there for now. Government release of funds is actually not stated. So these are the things that may likely affect the outcome in future. The school system is garbage in, garbage out. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
Okay, well, you have said a lot, and a few questions have been answered in the process. But the question I must ask is about NAPTEB. I've always been concerned about the relevance of that exam and indeed the certificate. How relevant has NAPTEB been? And now with this introduction, these reforms, what would that do to that exam body?
Well, NAPTEB is as relevant as the national body wants it to be relevant.
Okay.
So NAPTEB is the local content that we give in our educational certificate. That cannot in any way be compared to this city and guild. Okay? Actually, whatever you are doing in NAPTEB is supposed to actually mirror the city and guild from the UK. Okay? Exam, which is the foundation of technical education all over. But what we have currently is that the exam for city and guild is expensive. The preparation actually requires a lot of intensity. It requires laboratory. So, but most schools that are doing technical examination here, they actually have what you call into tech lab, which may not in any way stand the test of time.
Yeah.
So, NAPTEB is as relevant as we want it to be. Let me just give you a very good example. Just the way Nigerians consider WAEC more important than
NECO.
Even though they say NECO and WAEC are on the same pedestal. The most important thing is that most parents don't want their children to attempt NECO exam. The same thing applies. So if you are actually technically minded, that you should know that you are preparing your child for city and guild exam, whether trade test 1 or 2, whatever it may be, that's not the issue. Then NAPTEB may actually serve as a preparatory ground for those trade test exams before they get to the climax. That's how relevant it is in our educational system.
Okay. Well, interesting conversation, but the buck stops with the government. We're hoping that the same way they have rolled out reforms, they are able to fund these courses. Thank you very much, Doctor. It's always wonderful doing this with you. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes. What I'm adding to the entire corpus of the discussion is that government should also consider the fact that those who manage the curriculum are human beings. They should be carried along. Just like I told you in our previous discussion, that the curriculum actually means the total experience a child actually acquires in the course of his educational life. If we don't give them a very sound foundation, then they will not do well. And when they don't do well, it affects what we do as individuals. That's exactly what I'm saying.
All right.
But I can beat my chest today by telling you that we hardly have industries today in Nigeria because we are now a consumerist country. And because we consume everything, we don't think of building anybody. So technical education in Nigeria may not work. And then there's a research that actually showed that the mere fact that you went to a technical school does not mean that you'll be a better engineer or a technician.
Oh, my goodness.
That's the truth. Thank you. Have a very wonderful day, sir.
That's not a good way to leave us, but thank you for that, Dr. Uwadiunor. It's always wonderful. That gloomy research. Okay. I'm with him to a certain extent, of course, to the extent that the people who make it through those schools, where exactly will they apply what they have learned? And how can we vouch for the quality of what they have learned? Ben says, your government never stops to amuse me. Ben, I don't know what country you're from, but if you're Nigerian, you need to remove the Y from the your. The government initiates curriculum reforms for technical education, but doesn't have workshops to facilitate the curriculum. Is that not daydreaming? And well, that's what it applies as at this time, considering that the platform to exercise the skills acquired is non-existent. Can I take a call? I doubt that. I should have a program coming up shortly. Okay, let's see. Maybe messages 0817. I beg your pardon. 080-903-06416. 0817. I beg your pardon. 080-903-06416. And every now and then, there are reports such as this. We have these conversations. But if we can, bricklaying, woodwork, plumbing, computer hardware, refrigeration and air conditioning, auto body work, catering, craft practice, solar panel installation, fashion design, livestock farming, fish farming activity, painting, decoration, welding, fabrication, auto electrical wiring, automobile mechanics, beauty therapy, creative media, digital media production, electronic system maintenance, furniture making, networking and system security, social media content creation, tiling and cladding, stonework, floor cover installation, automobile CNG conversion, and leather works. If we actually could learn this from technical schools, if we could, I mean, think about it, right? During the holidays, parents enroll their kids at different places to go and learn something. Now imagine if we have a curriculum where students can learn this as part of education. You pay your tuition and your kid comes out with a skill, properly equipped, schools funded, laboratories, workshops, fully functional. That would be something. But like Ben has said on WhatsApp and my guest has suggested, it really does feel like daydreaming at this point, considering that the budget does not align with the reforms. So once again, I leave you exactly where I always leave you, on a note of hope. Let us hope that our government will support word with action, that as they've rolled out curriculum and talked about reform, the budget also reflects the reality. I have a program coming up now. By 6, the news happens and other things follow. Stay with us.
When in dire need of assistance or help within Rivers State, please contact